gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Walking with J.Beau. On this Sunday, which has warmed up to a balmy 35 degrees. I do say that in jest, but it does feel warm after the temperatures we've had, as we got a snow squall going through. So we're going to walk in the snow. We had cold this week. One morning it was minus 11 Fahrenheit. Very cold. Today, while it's 35 degrees and much warmer, it is windy. But feels like spring compared to what we've had. So we're going to warm up today, tomorrow, and Tuesday. Hopefully I'll be able to walk all 3 of those days. And then it's going to get cold again for a couple days, as in a low temperature of 0 or below 0 overnight. And then it's going to warm up again with some rain and snowy type weather. So, weather-wise, should be busy for the next 10 to 12 days with being hot again, cold again, hot again, cold again. So I will walk when I can. We did not go shooting yesterday, because the high temperature yesterday was in the low 20s. That was the high. We would have gotten at the range and it would have been about 4 degrees in the morning. And we don't shoot when it's that cold. So, might have the same thing for next weekend, I don't know. So we just play it by ear. Anyway, happy to be here with you all, friends. Thank you very much for walking with me today, being nice, and enjoying winter with me. I'll cut across over here where we have a good sidewalk. So anyway, wow. Big, huge, eventful week we just had. I'm sure I don't need to tell you about it. We had President Trump get sworn in. Vice President J.D. Vance was sworn in. And it was quite a spectacle. I'm going to turn the camera around. As I get my selfie stick situated here. There we go. Hi, everybody. So, we got President Trump sworn in. And before I get into that, though, I want to explain I'm wearing my hoodie because it's snowing and windy. Typically, as I've told you in the past, I don't do that because it takes away peripheral vision when you're crossing intersections. So I will be extra careful. Anyway, is it me, or does it seem like Trump is more popular now and he's not considered so much as an authoritarian dictator? Now, that was the narrative they pushed before the election, which obviously did not work, did it? And nobody paid attention to it, really. They've been doing this for 10 years now, okay? And I think the public is weary of it from the media and Democrats, and I think they're realizing that doesn't work anymore. They even tried during the nomination process for Pete Hegseth, who, by the way, congratulations to Pete Hegseth. He has been confirmed Governor of South Dakota. Kristi Noem has been confirmed. Protect our country's borders. And there's a lot to talk about today. I'm going on a 6-mile walk, so I will talk. You are free not to listen if you don't wish to. I don't force anybody to listen. But we are watching history. We are living something, through something historic at this time. ICE leader Tom Homan is going to need more money. He's doing a great job, but I'll tell you, closing the border is expensive. Finishing the wall is expensive. There was extensive video online that I watched on YouTube. It was a raw feed from a news network where they were recording for about, I want to say 50 minutes, almost an hour, of our troops at the border securing the border wall, doing a lot of welding, a lot of installation of razor wire. They have another fancy name for it so it doesn't sound so vicious, but it is razor wire. They have different types of razor wire. This is not the razor wire that is sharpened where it will slice your hands up in your face and cause serious injuries, but it is the type that will snag your clothing and make it very uncomfortable to cross. So they are installing this on top of the wall that's already been built in areas where it's a problem. And they were welding these kind of like on the top of the wall. They kind of like come, you get the wall like this, then you have these rods coming off it that they've been welding on there, and then wiring the razor wire to it. Kind of reminiscent of the old concentration camp walls we see in photographs of prison camps from World War II. Very effective, because even if you get up the wall, you have to go underneath the lip that they made and then go over it, and it's covered with razor wire. So impossible to get over. So some rather athletic, clever individuals did find a way to scale a wall and climb over it the way it was. Even that was not an easy task. So they're shoring everything up. It's good for our troops and troop morale too, because these soldiers are securing our own border, and they all look like they enjoyed it and were having a good time and feeling pride in themselves for the work they're doing. So that's really good. So anyway, the head of ICE is going to need money because they're going to need beds, and they're going to need places to put all of these people they're deporting that they currently don't have. And I mean nationally, you know. I'm talking about, you know, the media has been calling them ICE raids because raids sounds authoritarian. It's not. They're doing targeted acquisitions is what it's called. A warrant for specific criminals. So let the media do what it's going to do. The harsh reality is, for the media, that Trump is doing what the people voted for. You know, the media is trying to make it sound like draconian, dystopian, rounding up citizens into concentration camps. And like somehow President Trump wasn't being honest about it. The whole world knows, because Trump said this is what he was going to do. And he's doing it. I guess the Democrats are not used to people claiming things during an election and then actually doing what they said they were going to. So right now, the liberals and Democrats are upset that Trump ran for presidency, said he was going to do all these things, and then he has the damn gall to actually do them. So they're going to scream dictator and all this other stuff, but Trump was democratically elected. He didn't keep any secrets from voters, and he's doing what he said he was going to do. So, cry more, right? I guess Democrats really don't want democracy, do they? They like to use their key words and phrases having to do with racism and stuff that didn't work for them in this election. People didn't vote for it. That's a simple fact. And they knew about it. There's no secrets. Trump said he's going to reform the educational department. That's coming next. Hasn't even been a week. Tomorrow makes 7 days since Trump has been sworn in. And look at everything that's happening. Trump's already done more in 6 days than Biden did in 4 years. Literally. Trump signed a record number of executive orders. He just announced today he's firing a bunch of people that were promoting DEI in all administrative branches. And that's what we voted for, isn't it? He's talking about taking 80,000 IRS agents that are armed, according to his rally he had yesterday in Las Vegas, which was nice to watch, by the way. And suggesting perhaps putting them at the border instead of losing their jobs. So I think, given the opportunity to keep your job with the government as an IRS agent, which you're not going to be needed with Trump, that perhaps you would better serve yourself and your country better by becoming a Border Patrol agent, since we're already paying you. Oh, and also, Trump signed an executive order forcing administrative employees to show up for work. You have a lot of them working 2 days, collecting pay for a whole week. So that's ending. And all of this bureaucratic bullshit is going to be gone. Glory, hallelujah. So anyway, Trump 2.0 is turning out to be the Trump we wish we would have had in 2016. Which reminds me, I was talking about Trump being sworn in, and 2016 and the inauguration in 2017, there was a lot of rioting that happened, smashing storefronts. We're not seeing that this time. So a lot of things have changed. I think the Democrats and liberals who promoted all of this violence realize that Trump is president right now because they did that. The American public doesn't want that. And it backfired on them like we knew it should. I mean, it's common sense. That stuff's not going to work in America. And the Democrats don't have any policies. So I was watching Governor Pritzker, a very rich individual, by the way, on TV today talking about Trump ice raids. Then he says, we're not going to interfere with federal law, because he was asked, what are you going to do when they show up to get people? He goes, well, we're not going to interfere with federal law. Okay, so you're on CNN spewing propaganda, knowing there's nothing you can do to stop it. So, you know, you can keep defending what cost you the election to begin with. You can keep saying that prices are going to go up because we don't have illegals picking the damn fruit. May be some truth to that, or there may not. Maybe you'll be surprised how many people want to pick fruit. Basically, what they're admitting is that these companies are getting away with using slave labor, paying lower wages. So either way, it doesn't matter. The whole system needs to be revamped. Most Americans are not going to mind paying more if it puts money in the pockets of Americans. The economy will benefit from that. And as far as the tariffs from China and other countries go, raising prices, would you honestly, okay, it's an honest question, would you rather pay $7 for a t-shirt at Walmart made in China, where no American dollar goes into Americans' pockets, other than Walmart as a corporation who makes money on that? Or would you rather see a t-shirt sell for $10, made in the United States, by Americans who are paid to make that shirt, who then take the money they earn and spend it in their community or wherever they spend it? Or would you rather see it go to the Communist Party in China? Well, that should be an easy answer for you. We need to make stuff here. We need to be self-reliant. We need to stop relying on the rest of the world who treats us like garbage. They take advantage of us. They take our money. Trump signed an executive order withdrawing from the World Health Organization this week, and that already caused a big stir. So big that Trump said, well, I'm willing to take another look at it if the World Health Organization cleans their act up. What he means by that is paying their fair share and not dictating to the United States what world health policy is going to be. The United States decides for America if we're going to have a pandemic, or if people are going to get vaccinated, or whatever the World Health Organization recommends or wants to do. So Trump played that very smart. He shocked the world by leaving the WHO, telling them, F you, we're not going to give you any more money, which in effect renders the World Health Organization impotent. They cannot function without the United States. Now, the World Health Organization, as an entity and a body, is useful and good for people. But the globalists have taken it over and they're abusing it, just like everything else they take over. Whether it's the media, the banks, whatever. So Trump is being a policeman. In other words, if you're going to do what the World Health Organization intended to do originally, which is to be concerned about world health, logically and with common sense, you know, removing parasites from water in certain parts of the world where the water is dirty, you know, that's good. I don't have anything against polio vaccines. I do not support mRNA technology. So when people are forced to get the flippity gibbet, I'm going to call it the flippity gibbet, okay? I want to be clear, I support vaccines, but real vaccines. Not the stuff that's in the flippity gibbet. Flippity gibbet technology is not good. I have not seen enough evidence, other than the media telling me I'm a conspiracy theorist for thinking that way, which we all know the media is not to be trusted. So, regardless, the flippity gibbet, I gotta be careful what I say on here. They've already given me a strike for one of my videos. I had to edit it and re-upload, and that strike isn't going to come off my channel until the end of this month, and I don't want to do another one, okay? I want to get the channel monetized. So anyway, which I don't think they're going to do anyway, because it's a gun channel primarily. But okay, we're going on with the flippity gibbet, as I'll call it. Real vaccines are vaccines made from strains of certain viruses or disease that help your body develop an immunity to that disease naturally. That I support. So I support polio vaccines and things like that. So anyway, it's just what we got to deal with. I'm gonna flip the camera around here because we still have a Trump flag out. That looks cool. Sun's coming out. Give you a little bit of look of the landscape here. You can see the beautiful sun up there. It is windy, but I gotta tell you, I'm not freezing to death. Normally, if it wasn't windy right now, I would be sweating a lot because I'm wearing layers of clothing. Because of the wind, I actually feel quite comfortable. So anyway, flippity gibbets aside, across here. These people are insane. So the World Health Organization promotes all of these bad things, I guess is my point. And they wanted control over the United States health policies. And Biden gave it to them. Trump just took it away. So we also withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. Because without the United States in it, they're pretty much powerless. They can't do anything. So that is the thinking of Trump, where he just comes out and says we're leaving the WHO, and the world panics and sends a message that, you know, you're not going to control the United States. And, you know, Trump doing that, I'm sure, puckered their sphincters, like, oh no, we're going to lose all that money. Well, that's the idea. Now Trump comes out and says, well, maybe we'll reconsider it, but you have to clean that up. Meaning, the EU needs to start paying their fair share. The United States is not going to get sucked on anymore. So that's just the bottom line of that, folks. We're just not going to do that with Trump as president. And that's what we voted for. American people are tired of that. If Kamala had become president, you could have kissed this country goodbye. It would have been the end. And as I've stated before the election, the American people inherently know that and did something about it. And I said before the election we would win this election, that the polls were wrong. Why they were wrong. So anyway, what else did Trump do this week? Out of his many executive orders he signed. One was declaring that there's just two sexes. Official government policy. Male and female, that's it. If you want to take some hormone replacement therapy, grow some boobs, and have fun, live and let live is our policy. Just don't consider yourself a female and stay out of women's spaces. That should be common sense. So that's what he did. I want to see transition of children banned, surgeries on minors ended. As it is right now, despite all of the problems we have, it is policy for Planned Parenthood that you have to be at least 16 years old to be on hormone replacement therapy. Yet, we are seeing children being given puberty blockers to prevent puberty so they can grow up not being able to enjoy sex, being underdeveloped physically, which causes problems like bone and joint problems and all kinds of problems. Heart issues are starting to show up. It was not the intended purpose of that. Parents were misinformed and they're going to regret their decisions. Planned Parenthood has a policy of hormone replacement therapy. You have to be older than 16 and have parental consent. And many states are violating that by passing their own legislation, which is where these problems are happening. Federal government's not going to be able to control that. So, Trump is going to control what he can control, which is defunding federal dollars. Federal dollars are not going to be spent on sex changes in the military or otherwise for minors or adults. Get your own insurance, pay for it yourself, do what you want. Taxpayers are not going to foot the bill. Because he knows what I know. As soon as that is taken away, a lot of these groups are going to stop promoting it because they were getting federal dollars to pay for it. They were even getting subsidized by the government to promote sex changes in minors. That's all ended, folks. It's all over. For at least 4 years. Now, that's the problem I have. What are we going to do 4 years from now? We get a Democrat president. They're going to overturn everything Trump did. So, we saw Biden do that with the energy policies and a bunch of other ones. Look at all the mess it caused. So we need Congress and the Senate, especially in this first 100 days, to really do a lot of permanent damage so this stuff cannot happen again. And that's yet to be seen. We'll see what happens. But more than likely, because this always happens, Democrats will get Congress back in 2026. Republicans have a slim lead as it is. Slimmest in 100 years. So, therein lies the problem, folks. We have a lot of battles left to win. We need to elect more Republicans in 2026 than Democrats. If Trump does really well and people are happy with everything, quite possibly you may see the House remain in Republican control. It can happen. So we will hope and pray, literally, that Trump has a great presidency and shows results within 2 years. And this is where the media comes into play. Because the media is going to make everything sound like Trump is screwing everything up. That's what they did in 2016. The media doesn't have as much bite as it used to. They've lost their teeth, as evidenced by the win we just had. They had to resort to calling Trump Hitler, comparing him to Nazis, which they're doing again this week, by the way. It's not going to work. It didn't work for them then. It's not going to work now. You can go ahead and call ICE immigrant detentions, call them raids if you want to sound like the Nazi Gestapo rounding people up and putting them on cattle cars. You can try to make it sound like that if you want to. And that didn't work for you before. It's not going to work now. And so far, I haven't seen one Democrat on these networks come on, and I've watched a few of them since Trump won and since he's been implementing his executive orders. Let's flip this back around. I have not seen one Democrat, not one, other than before Trump was sworn in, talking about how Democrats need to change what they're doing with policy. So they lost the election for a reason, and they're not coming out saying now that they need to change what they're doing. Pritzker today said, oh, but the local elections in Illinois, we did great. Yeah, the Democrats won those elections, but they lost ground, to be clear. Okay, so they can go ahead and try to make it sound like their policies won those elections, but we know they didn't. The numbers show that. Democrats lost nationally. Even in the elections they won, they lost ground in. And I talked about that before the election. The numbers were there. I'm a big numbers guy. You can believe real numbers. So while they were pushing all the polling for Pennsylvania and all that, I was looking at polling in Washington State, Oregon, California, states that Democrats would win easily. But they lost ground. So there is a red surge in the country, right? No mistake. So the Democrats are trying to say, well, the Republicans only won at the federal level. It doesn't work that way. Everybody knows that. So that's why it's going to be important for Trump to have a good 2 years up till midterm elections. Because midterm elections is going to dictate the last 2 years of Trump's term. So basically Trump has this first 100 days is absolutely the most crucial, important to set the tone for the rest of his presidency and to cement his legacy. You know, the Democrats focused on the infrastructure with Inflation Reduction Act, which actually increased inflation, and didn't work out so good for the Democrats. Other than that, they didn't do anything. So they are legends in their own mind, however. They talk about how great they were. Biden's the best president they've had, and so it's like, come on, guys, really? Everybody knows that's not true. Everybody's already forgotten about Joe Biden. He's gone. Nobody cares. Democrats aren't talking about him anymore. They're talking about Trump endlessly, which helps Trump, obviously. They're not sitting there saying, you know, Trump's doing this, but look how great Biden was with this. I'm not hearing that, and you're not going to hear that. So, anyway, we're going to go on with Trump's policies. Democrats don't have policies. They just have pointing the finger, calling people racist. And they've painted themselves in a box with it, especially with the gender stuff. Poll came out this week. 70% now. 70% of the country does not support gender ideology. Just two sexes. 70% of the country. So that is a political loser for the Democrats. They're coming around. They've painted themselves in a corner with it, unfortunately for them. And they're stuck with it. What do they do with their supporters that they sold it to now? How do they get out of it? How do they get away from it? They can't. And they can't find an angle to sell because there's nothing good there to sell. So this is all good for Republicans. I hope the media and these Democrats keep coming out like Pritzker did today, calling Trump a racist, and didn't work for you before the election. It's not going to work now. You're going to continue losing as long as you keep doing that. But they have nothing else. They don't have policies. Pritzker today on CNN with Dana Bash was doing what Kamala did on the campaign. We need to have this, we need to have that. Offered no solutions on how to do that. And they think the American people are stupid. Quarter of the voters in this country, I have to say, are stupid. Sorry, I'm just going to say it. So, they have a lot of problems. They're very reluctant to look in the mirror and say, you know what, our policies suck and we haven't been good for the people. They just don't want to look at themselves and say that, because that's true. That's what happened. So I have been pretty happy with the Republicans sticking together for the most part. Pete Hegseth's nomination was a big test, and fortunately J.D. Vance broke the tie in the Senate to confirm him, because our senator here, Susan Collins, is really a Democrat. And so is Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, who was elected because of ranked choice voting. Otherwise she would have lost. So, to a Republican, by the way, in the primary. So I think a lot of people in the Republican Party now, donors that have money, are going to promote a primary candidate in Maine to get rid of Susan Collins. She's running for re-election, I think 2026. I don't want to vote for her. So you tell me, as somebody watching this that wants Susan Collins gone, what do I do about it? How do I get rid of Susan Collins? I see a lot of rhetoric online. Vote her out! Just don't vote for her. Well, this is Maine. You know, 1/3 of the electorate here is independent, whether it's Libertarian, Independent, Green Party, and out of those independents, most of them lean left. You're going to get very little independent support mixed in with Republicans, but she finds the right mixture by doing what she's doing. That's the sad truth of it. My personal opinion is if you run a straight up MAGA Republican, he may end up primarying Susan Collins, but I don't know if he'll win the election, he or she. That's the problem I have. You can either sit comfortably with Susan Collins and hope she votes your way most of the time, knowing she won't all of the time, or hope that a MAGA Republican wins in Maine, which personally I don't see happening. If that was the case, we would have just voted out Jared Golden, the Democratic congressman, who wants to ban assault rifles, and he got reelected. So that should tell you that moderate Democrats, albeit slim, he barely won. He really did. The hardcore MAGA Trump supporter, it was a virtual tie. So, do we risk losing to a Democrat? But I'll tell you right now, if a Democrat wins Susan Collins' seat, because people wanted to primary Susan Collins, that seat's going to be gone for the next 50 years. You can forget it. It's going to be blue. I'm telling you right now. They'll bring in some moderate Democrat. They tried to go with a progressive Democrat to unseat Susan Collins, and that one, Susan Collins won that election easily. So they're going to try pushing a moderate, someone who will appeal to some Republicans. That's what they're going to push. That's what Jared Golden did for the congressional seat, and he won, although barely. Because like I said, Democrats have been losing nationally, despite their propaganda saying otherwise. Nobody sore loses like Democrats. Republicans lose, and they say, you know what, we lost because we sucked. We need to listen to our constituents and do better, and then they go out and try to do better. So, I'm predicting that's what's going to happen in Maine. I think they are going to promote a moderate Democrat, which, it's a double-edged sword for them. They don't want a moderate Democrat to come on and say, you know, LGBT special rights isn't good. They should say that, you know, LGBT have rights already. When you give one group special rights, you infringe on another group's rights, which is why women are upset with it, with the transgender bathroom stuff and locker rooms and sports. You know, women want their sports back. That's what they just voted for with Trump. They expected women not to vote for Trump. Well, the women voted for Trump. They tried to push the abortion issue to scare women away from Trump. Well, they voted for Trump. So, you know, Democrats are going to have to listen to their voters, or they're not going to win. So I kind of hope they don't listen. So every time we see one of these guys like Pritzker on TV talking the same old stuff, don't get annoyed by that, actually be happy by it. Because they're doing more of what caused them to lose. So that's good. When the Democrats start doing something different, then you should be concerned. and watch what the polling does and public opinion and all that. But if they're going to come out and they're going to keep screaming racism, 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 misogyny, abortion, abortion, they're going to keep losing. So I highly encourage the Democrats to keep talking that stupid nonsense. Please don't stop. So anyway, that's a lot of the stuff going on. It was nice to see Trump do a rally in Las Vegas yesterday in a small place. Easier to make secure. Thanking the people of Las Vegas for voting for him. And he said the no tax on tips is going to happen. He said thank you to the people in Las Vegas. So the Republicans are going to be having big stuff coming up. Trump wants to do one big beautiful bill, he called it. But the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim, I think. I think the best we can hope for is 2 separate bills. And, you know, a lot of people say things, and I support it too, where if you have a bill to fund Ukraine, just have a standalone bill to fund Ukraine. Don't tack on all this other stuff in it. Pork, okay? Don't tack on the pork in the damn thing. Make a single standalone bill. Now, if you make standalone bills for everything, you'll never get anything done. Because every single bill has a procedure. It has to go into committee. There has to be votes. There has to be analyzing. It takes time. All of this stuff would take forever. You wouldn't be able to pass everything. So they repackage everything into multiple items in a bill. Problem is, with the corruption in DC, they tack on all their pork spending products to it, which forces, let's say you have a bill, I'll just make up something fictitious, something where it requires empathy. A bill to finance soldiers that have been injured in combat and have families. Okay, so, all right, well, both parties would support that. Every single person in Congress would vote for that. Now here comes the pork. Well, we're going to tack on this funding for that, which, by the way, part of that funding is going to go to funding child transition surgeries, because that's part of the medical package for these veterans that have been injured in combat. So then they'll put a little loophole in it. They'll put a loophole in it. Well, in some cases, maybe non-military family members can be transitioned also. So they'll put things in it that the Republicans are not going to vote for. And they use the leverage of the media to say, this Republican doesn't want to vote to help veterans, when the reason why the Republican doesn't want to vote for it is because it's funding surgeries to transition children. So this is the game they play in DC, which is why the media has been very effective for Democrats, but the media has lost their teeth. They have a little bit of a bite left, but not like they did. They're not affecting change, okay, for Democrats. Switch hands here. So it's interesting to watch all of this unfold in 2025, because everything has changed in 10 years dramatically, politically, globally, and with the media in our favor. So, and it had to do with the left and the globalists having control of everything and inflicting their own wounds. That's just what they've done. So it's an instance of you give these guys carte blanche to do what they want, and they go too far. They always go too far. They go overboard, and it makes everybody angry. So this transgender ideology stuff, perfect example. At first it was gay marriage, which I support, by the way. Then it turned into, well, we're going to take some more and take some more. Now we're going to go after your children. Now we're going to force you in public to affirm transgender people or you're going to get fired. How can that not piss people off? I have no understanding why the left doesn't see that when they do it. But they have what's called a woke mind virus. They're crazy in the cabeza. So, they're loco. So anyway, it's been funny this week watching Trump do what he said he was going to do if elected. He sent the U.S. Marines to the border to secure the border. Full auto weapons. Landing in their Osprey. Amazing to watch. Made me feel good anyway. So, things that affected the election were things like Kamala Harris going to the border finally after not going, and walking around for a photo op, not really talking about it or making sense. They just used it in a commercial. Kamala Harris cares about the border. That doesn't work anymore. Democrats are in a real pickle. They really are. Even with Pete Hegseth getting nominated, you know, the media they just won't acknowledge it. Pete Hegseth, former Fox News host, they mention nothing about his military service. They try to make it sound like a conservative news host nominated for a position he's not qualified for by a reality TV host, Donald Trump. See, they frame everything like that. So they lost, and they're still trying to find an angle by discrediting his win by the slimmest of margins. The slimmest vote in history, requiring the vice president to cast a vote. Well, he was nominated. That's, you know, we won. That's a winner. That's a win. Kristi Noem, nominated. The tough one is going to be RFK Jr. And I'll tell you right now, Mitch McConnell is not going to vote for RFK Jr. He's not. I don't know if Susan Collins will. Probably not. I don't think Lisa Murkowski will. I am expecting 2, maybe 3 Democrats to vote for RFK, and here's why. RFK ran as a Democrat, and the Democratic Party kicked him out. Filed lawsuits against him. RFK had a lot of Democratic voter support. Now these Democrats are going to have to tread water lightly. Very lightly. Because the certain amount of Democrats that voted for Trump, they're going to want them back. And if you make life shit for RFK Jr. in his hearing, you may not get those Democratic voters back ever again. Because if he doesn't get nominated for this position, which is Trump keeping his promise to him, RFK said, and this is a quote, that he prayed to God and he believes God wanted Trump to win, and that RFK would be of great use to the people in God's name to make the health of Americans better, and Trump is putting him on for a nomination. This is our chance in America to clean up our food industry, get rid of these additives, synthetic flavors, and garbage that people are poisoning themselves with, which you know, cancer rates in the United States are going through the roof in young people. So that shouldn't be happening, and I think there's a correlation with what people are ingesting. I will say there was good news. One of those red dyes has been banned from foods that's been used for 80 years. It's been used for 80 years. Was it FD and C, FD, whatever they call that, red number or whatever. Basically, when you buy like strawberry flavored oatmeal and it has artificially flavored strawberries and artificially colored, well, the coloring is that red. It's in just about every food that you buy that's processed. And we banned it last week, I think, and it has to be phased out of the food by 2027. It gives companies time to phase out. So, because they've been using the same one for 80 years, so they do need some time to change and find an alternative that's healthy and make sure that they don't use something else that's bad to save money. So making the food healthier is going to make it more expensive, okay, for a while. But can't have it both ways. So anyway, I do believe the United States is going to have a golden age, a new era in America of great change. The last time we saw great change like this with what Trump wants to do was during and after the Great Depression with the New Deal that they did. So it's going to take the will of the people, though, to get it done, because that's why I said and emphasize again that Trump has to do an absolutely fantastic job between now and midterms. We need to get a lot of stuff implemented, going, underway, and be successful. And prices need to come down. Now, Trump has already gotten over $1 trillion worth of investment in the United States from outside our country, especially in AI. And he just got the Saudis to invest $600 billion in the United States and to lower oil cost, price of oil. That's part of that deal. So that'll bring energy prices down. It takes a little while to catch up. For example, Biden erased Trump's energy policies and the price of fuel skyrocketed. But it took almost a year, so it's going to be a while before things start catching up, but they will. But it has to happen before midterms. People have to see results. It has to happen. And Trump knows that. So we'll wait and see. So anyway, today I want to take a second. This is probably the fifth. I think it is the fifth walk that I take since the week before Christmas. It has been a very cold winter this year, colder than usual here, and Today was 35 degrees, and quite honestly, it feels like spring. So I walk when I can. When it's not winter time, it's pretty much every day. I walk at least 5 miles if you're just watching. Today I'm going to do about 6 miles after not walking for whatever the last walk was, a week. I think I only have 4, maybe 5 walks since before Christmas. Body feels great today. Had a good night's sleep. My last walk, my lower back was killing me because that was weird. That old guy driving by, he had a dog in the car with him, and I'm standing at the corner and he was stopping for me to cross. There's no crosswalk there, there's no signs, there's nothing. He's got no reason to stop. Main law is you have to yield to pedestrians in marked crosswalks. That's it, nowhere else. Whether the light's green or whatever. So I realized he was just being nice, but he was forcing the woman behind him to stop, so I just stood there until he decided he should drive. Anyway, I had enough sleep, feel good today. You know, you start to worry about your stamina. Last winter, not walking as much. I walked a lot more than I have this year. Winter before that, I didn't walk it at all, really. You know, we went from about a week, maybe a week before Thanksgiving. Didn't walk again until 2 weeks into March. And I had only gained about 4 pounds back. Last winter I didn't gain any weight, and I walked a little more than I did this year. This year I am, well, I can tell you by how my clothes fit, I'm not gaining weight, but I haven't stepped on a scale. I don't really feel it's necessary to constantly step on a scale, just because the simple scientific fact is, biologically, it takes a while to lose weight and it takes a while to gain it. And your clothing and how you feel will tell you if you're gaining weight. Biggest indicator is your clothing. I mean, you know how your underwear fits, right? So when they start getting tight, and you always have to stop to pull the back of your underwear up because they're coming down, you're gaining weight. So it's pretty easy to tell those things. Plus, with the diet I have, I don't eat a lot of junk food. I do love eating nuts, though. Peanuts, almonds, cashews. I eat a lot of raisins and dates, things like that. Now, nuts can be high calorie, but they're good calories, you know? So that's the thing. It's like good carbohydrates and bad carbohydrates. Rice has good carbohydrates. Sugar has bad carbohydrates. I eat a lot of rice. And Asians eat a lot of rice. So Asians primarily are not overweight, so, and they eat a lot of rice. Lately they have been having access to Coca-Cola and junk foods, and wouldn't you know it, Asians are starting to gain weight. So I mean, you are what you eat. You don't have to starve yourself. If you change your diet, you'll be okay. So right now I'm going to flip the camera around. And again, I want to say thank you for walking with me. It's really nice. I enjoy doing this. I missed not walking as often because I like uploading these videos and reading the comments. And I want to hear your comments about the election, swearing in ceremony, all of that stuff. There's a lot to unpack. Watching Trump sit there and tell the Biden administration right to their faces how awful they were was the best thing I've seen in years, probably ever. And then watching Trump in California with the fires, watching him go to work on these Democrats trying to get their little sound bites for CNN. That Congressman Bradley, California, what a jerk. I mean, he comes out, you know, talking about this, that, and the other thing, and then Trump interrupts him and says, the reason why insurance isn't covering your citizens is because people like you have made it impossible for them to do business in California. Trump said he's no fan of insurance companies, but what insurance company is going to insure a property that is a tinderbox that the insurance company pretty much is guaranteed at some point is going to have to pay out hundreds of millions of dollars for? They're not going to sell insurance there. They're going to go to other states. And that's what they did. These California liberals destroy everything they touch. Over-regulation, permits, passing laws, climate stuff. Companies don't want to do business there, so they leave. Now these houses burned, worth, you know, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million. The most they're going to get from FEMA is $43,000. No insurance, because the insurance companies pulled their policies just 2 to 3 months before this fire. So Democrats have a lot of angry people. And if the Democrats were smart, which they're not, but if they were smart, they would say this is our fault, we'll fix it. But they won't. So this fire may help California go red. One instance in specific is they're sitting there talking with Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles, progressive idiot. She said, we want to get people back in their homes as soon as possible, immediately. And Trump said, well, you're already telling people they have to wait a week. They don't want to wait a week. You have emergency powers. Just sign something with your pen and wave off all of that bullshit. She goes, we want to make sure it's safe. He said it's safe. Everything that can burn has already burned. What's safe? So, you know, Trump told the people of California, basically they're standing out front of their house wanting to go into their property and they're not allowed to or they'll be arrested. People want to go to their houses. Now, today, he said, within 24 hours. So, Californians were watching that press conference. They understand what Trump was saying. He's common sense. I guarantee you, even these liberals are going to be looking at each other like, he's got a point. You know, I'm in my hotel room, paying a hotel. They won't allow me to go back to my own house to see what I got left. I don't even know what's there or what isn't. So, you would want to know about your stuff. You know? Or, you know, is your dog alive? You had to get out of there and your dog ran away and you couldn't go get him. These people want to know. So, anyway, I'll flip this around. Hope you're having a good time, everybody, walking with me. So a lot of this stuff is all common sense, and unfortunately the Democratic Party right now has no common sense, like at all. And when they do show common sense, a lot of Democrat voters start accusing them of being sellouts. They're pandering to Trump. Democrats have painted themselves in a box. They have demonized Trump so much that a lot of their electorate is convinced Trump is going to cause the deaths of everybody. They've fear-mongered them into oblivion, which was irresponsible. All because they wanted to win elections and have power. So, I don't know if these people will ever be reached. I don't think so. But, you know, we'll see what happens with these people. They're in the minority, I can tell you that much. So, the Democrat Party is going to have they got their troubles. Even a lot of their money is drying up. A lot of their big donors have switched over to Trump because he makes sense. I think these liberals have had enough of DEI in their companies. It's costing them money. It's costing them efficiency. Putting politics in the workplace over what you're actually supposed to do in the workplace to begin with. They're forgetting about why they're there. So Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and all these big business people have swapped over to Trump because a lot of them are interested in AI and technology for the future. Trump said the United States is going to lead the world in AI, and he just secured about $1 trillion in investments to make that happen. Can't beat that with a stick. You didn't get anything like that from Biden. Not a damn thing. Democrats don't know how to do stuff like that. Which is why they lost. So as we can see, the sun's back out. It's very nice. Very nice. A few clouds here and there, no big deal. We started out the walk with a little snow squall. That was interesting. So we've gone 4.5 miles now. This is nice. I got out and got some fresh air. So I am enjoying everything I voted for. The Democrats seem to be very upset. Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. Like I said, I guess Democrats really don't support democracy. They lost democratically, now they're being governed democratically. That is democracy. So it's starting to stay light a little longer now. It gets dark at around 5 instead of just after 4. We've gained almost an hour already, I think, of daylight. We'll keep adding on as spring gets closer. I'm coming up towards the end of January. I believe today is January 26th, Sunday. We got about 6 weeks left of cold. In about 6 weeks, it'll be the first week of March. And between the first week of March and mid-March, we start getting up around 40 degrees during the day. That's not to say we won't have an unusually cold stretch. We may have a warm up though. So we'll wait and see. February in the past has been a toss-up. Beginning of first 2 weeks of February, sometimes we have had Arctic, bitter cold, high temperatures of 10 degrees. And other times we've had 40 degrees. So we will see what happens. I do know that the forecast is starting to trend warmer in the 30s. So we'll see what happens. I remember playing a lot of ice hockey outdoors on the outdoor skating rinks, and about 3 weeks into February started to get soft ice, especially on the end of the rink that was in the sun the longest. So things will definitely start changing with the angle of the sun as that changes. Yeah, they've been working on this church here. That must be cold work this time of year. Now you can see they have all the scaffolding up ahead on the church, enclosed with plastic and canvas, and they run heaters in there. Probably not a balmy 70 degrees, but if they get the temperature 40, 50 degrees, that's doable to work all day in. So. But if we get a windstorm, that's going to be in trouble. Seems to be anchored well. Looks like the old church is getting an overhaul. The church was built in the 50s. So I don't know what it is they're doing to it. We'll see when they unveil it. Well, that was nice to go for a walk today. Sidewalks are pretty clean. I didn't have a tough time of walking. I am wearing my hiking boots instead of sneakers. I did have a few spots where if I was wearing sneakers, my feet would be wet right now, so that was a wise choice to wear my hiking boots. In any case, very happy to be walking. Happy Sunday to those who celebrate. Past Bork's Market. We just hit 5 miles. Just hit 5 miles. So we'll walk together about another half mile, even though I got more than that to do. I'll record a little more. Boy, I gotta tell you, Trump being president is making me even happier than I thought I would be. Because the whole thing was about getting there. Then now that we're there, how's this going to go? Are protesters going to burn the countryside down? Well, it looks like the Democrats have lost their stomach for it. I guess they realized it didn't help them. So these TV people, man, they're very strange. These media people. They've all turned into a joke. And what I love about it is the majority of the country sees it now. I hoped and prayed for that for the past few years. And, you know, they destroyed their own product. You can't lie to people in this country. You know, it might work in Canada and Europe. And even there, a lot of people know they're lying, but they're kind of powerless to do anything about it. So, Europe is seeing a resurgence or a surgence of populism, and the more you tell your citizens to shut up, censor them, put them in jail for speaking, the bigger the populist movement's going to grow. It's inevitable. They want total and complete power over everything and everyone, and the DNA in humans is inherently they all want to be free. Freedom and liberty. People in Europe will be free. It's either going to be a lot of bloodshed or it's going to be a political revolution, but one way or the other, it's going to happen. It's happened many times in the past in Europe. It's nothing new. Just because it's 2025 doesn't change. Hello everybody. Had to change the battery. Might have even been a nice day today to do a woods walk, gun talk, but doesn't matter, we got our walk in. So hopefully you guys have been out walking where you live. I know down south a lot of you just got some snow and ice and a deep freeze. So if you live down south and want to share your experiences with me, I'd like to hear that as well. I guess they had problems in South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, into Texas. Very unusual, but you know, New Orleans got 11 inches of snow, and the media people were, see, climate change, climate change. In 1895, they had 10 inches of snow in New Orleans, so there wasn't any climate change then, so it happens. Climate change would be, switch the camera around. Climate change would be where if you got 10 inches in New Orleans every winter, consistently in the future. So you can't take any one-off occurrence and point your finger and say, see, climate change, we told you so. There has to be consistency. They're not going to get 10 inches of snow in New Orleans next year, okay? They didn't last year, they're not going to next year. You want to hear the conspiracy theorist view? Do you? Well, here it is. Remember those prophets I told you about sometimes? The one that was accurate? You know, people were talking about an assassination attempt on Trump during the parade for the inauguration. People were praying to intercede, to make some kind of divine intervention to protect Donald Trump from what these prophets who saw the future saw. So why not a big old Arctic blast down from Canada to force the inauguration to be indoors? Would that do it? Might have been what we saw, folks. Sorry, I gotta clean the lens off. It's got schmutz all over it. So maybe God sent air from the Arctic Circle all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and made it so cold that the inauguration had to be canceled. Outdoors anyway. You know, can that be possible? Maybe just a little bit. Food for thought. I will tell you that one of these prophets that I do trust, because like I said, I've explained it in past videos, this guy has been so accurate right down to details, from Trump assassination attempts to other things, including the terrorist attack in New Orleans we just recently had. Anyway, he predicted right down to the street name and everything, and how it would be done and what would be done. So anyway, as we hit 5.5 miles, he said that there were these white trucks with terrorists in them that were going to do terrorist attacks at the inauguration, and they didn't happen. So that's the thing with prophets. They come out and predict something and they say pray to make sure it doesn't happen, and then if it doesn't happen, people go, this guy's a fraud, it didn't happen. But so, like I said, I don't put a lot of credibility in these people that predict things. I just give merit to the ones that have earned it, because they're accurate way more than they are not. And it's not just being accurate, it's being down to detail. I'll give you an example. If somebody just says, oh, we're going to have a nuclear explosion in the United States. Okay, where? When? Oh, I don't know where. Oh, no, when? Well, they're just guessing. This guy says things like, it'll be here, it'll be this time of year, because this is what I saw. The leaves were turning, or what have you. What is this? What is this going on here on the lens? Something's up with it. I'll worry about it later. Oh, that looks all right. But this guy comes down to predicting when, what time of day, what will be used, how it will be done, who will be responsible for it. He's just too accurate. This is the guy, by the way, that said a barge is going to be commandeered by terrorists. There will be a dirty bomb inside with a bunch of oil and fertilizer, and they're going to explode a radioactive dirty bomb in the bay in Virginia, not far from the capital. And that's going to cause like a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles of radiation, which will cause many deaths from radiation poisoning. That's what a dirty bomb is. So he predicted that will happen, and he seemed to think it would be in the fall. I presume this fall coming up later this year. So food for thought. Again, it's a guy that's been accurate, so you may want to take heed in that and say some prayers against that. He also believes that if enough people pray against it, God will make sure it doesn't happen. So anyway, pretty cool stuff, I think. And hope you enjoyed walking with me. Always a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, you know, as we got a very bright sun behind me. Probably looks cool on camera, I hope. Cut across over here. Either case, we're going to be winding down the walk. Hope you enjoyed walking with me today. Hope you did. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. I have a new video for the Ruger Mark IV 22 Pistola 75th anniversary. So that's a cool video to check out. It's a short one, about 10 minutes. And we will see you on the next walk. thank you, friends, for walking with me. And God bless you and your family. Say a prayer for Trump. Literally, I mean, pray for Trump, okay? And pray for America and that everything goes well for everybody. I think we have the right leadership in place. We're going to see things done we've never seen done in America before. Highly skilled people in their fields. So anyway, see you on the next walk, friends. Might be tomorrow or it might be 2 weeks from now. I really couldn't tell you. It's up to the weather. God bless you in any case. Rock on, and thank you for walking with me. Stay safe, everybody. Bye bye, friends.